Oh, shit.
Welcome, everybody, to Inside Indiana Basketball Weekly Show. And we're sorry for whoever just said that.
Me, Risley. Who else?
All right. I'm your host, Mike Goodpaster, or co-host Mike Goodpaster. Right now I want to welcome in my other co-host. Our first co-host won a 1981 national championship and needs his mouth washed out with soap. Help me welcome to the show, Steve Risley.
How you guys doing today? It's a crappy day in Los Angeles today. It's 65 and grainy today. We don't know what to do with ourselves.
All right, next up, what a Big
Find
Ten
the nearest
championship.
cliff or bridge.
What a Big Ten championship with the Indiana Hoosiers. And now he is on the wildly successful YouTube reality show, Collin and Allie. Help me welcome to the show, Collin Hartman. How you doing, Collin?
Hey, Collin,
Good.
I have a question for you. Why is Allie stalking me now? Allie is like asking me questions about you. It's getting weird.
I highly doubt that. Truly, to my bones, doubt that.
All right. And, of course, the one sane person we have on the show, we have Cole Hanna, the Grueling Truth beat reporter with the Indiana Hoosiers. How you doing, Cole?
Doing all right, fellas. I like the introduction there. I like it.
All right. And now maybe we have two sane guys. Maybe we don't. That is yet to be determined. But we have Kent Sterling as our special guest today. How you doing, Kent?
I'm doing great, and I was a member of the state runner-up New Albany Bulldog high school soccer team back in the day. So not a champion like Collin and like Steve, but I played the big contest.
Okay.
Hey, Kent.
Wait a second. Kent, we don't talk about soccer.
Yeah. Kent, let me ask you. Mike, I was going to go there. Kent, ask us if we care. Because we don't.
I think that answer's self-evident. I don't even care.
We don't care.
All right. Let's go ahead. We'll start off with Cole Hanna, who was our man on the scene today. Cole, when we look at the stats, what jumps out to you?
Yeah, obviously the major thing is going to be the offense for IU keeps rolling here. 53% from the field, 89 points. One thing I want to point out, only 6 turnovers again, which is phenomenal for them. That's now 2 games in a row here where they've pretty much kept the turnovers to a minimum. That's been kind of an area of concern for IU for a lot of this season. So for them to turn that around, that's big. And then obviously you love to see Juwan Morgan kind of have a really great game, to close out his IU career at Assembly Hall most likely. He goes for 25 and 7, 11 of 13 from the field for him. Pretty much when he was on the court, Rutgers had no answer for him. But pretty much a solid all-around game offensively. Defensively, they played well enough to win. It was a lot of free throws, unfortunately. 2 teams combined for 59 free throw attempts in the game. But, yeah, I think the big story of the game is the IU offense continues to roll here.
Yeah, and when you look at it, Collin, go ahead.
I just want to ask Cole a question on stats before we get on to something else. What concerns me is minutes played. I mean, I'm looking down here, and I'm seeing Justice Smith, Juwan Morgan, Romeo Langford, 30, Durham, Finney. But then I'm going down to, like, Clifton Moore, 53 seconds, Jake Forrester, 53 seconds. I mean, what's going on here, Cole? Why is there not a greater disparity now that we think this team's getting better and getting more healthy? Why is he not spreading his playing time out? Do you have any answer to that? Anybody
I do, because that. I don't think that when you look at Duke or any big-time program, there's not too many of them that go more than 8 deep. And when you look at this, you had a total of 7 guys that played 17 minutes or more. Thompson played 11 minutes. So I think when you look at this, when you get tournament time, you want your best guys in there. And if they're playing well, why do you want to take them out of the game?
I told you guys at the beginning of the season he would not go past 8.
Yeah.
Maybe 9.
Good call, Collin. Yeah. You did call that. Good call, Collin. You called that. Yeah, true. I don't know. I just think right now I'd be resting. If I'm winning by 20 points or 15 points or whatever, I would be resting players as much as I could right now. And, just my thought. Because we haven't been this healthy.
I mean, they have 3 days. They have 3 days to rest, hang out.
Yeah, and you're to the point that this is just
Thursday,
like
right?
This is the same thing as an NCAA tournament game to me, Kent. If you'd have lost this game, there'd have been a lot of issues here, and you'd have had to win the Big Ten tournament, possibly have to play one less day rest. So I could see why he played this game the way he did. Plus, it's senior night for Morgan and guys like that. What's your take on that, Kent?
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I don't mind a skinny rotation if you're healthy. I like getting guys on the floor who can play. And if Archie's only got confidence in 8 guys, play the 8 guys. You only got confidence in 6 guys, play the 6 guys. I think that they've done a nice job. Maybe it's been mandated by injury that these guys are fairly well rested. You know, you've got guys who've sat. Devontae Green, he sat for 3 days. He had the suspension. So, you know, I think that these guys minus Langford and minus Jawan have kind of been on restricted minutes for one reason or another. The thing that I didn't like from today, I didn't like the foul shots that they allowed with Rutgers. I don't like giving up 30 foul shots, and I didn't like some of the offensive boards. But, you know, you just beat a good team by 16, and you kind of hammered them, and for your 4th win in a row. So there isn't much you can look at where you say, geez, boy, oh boy, Indiana really disappointed me here.
Now, Cole, you've been in the locker room for most of this season with the Grueling Truth. You've been credentialed. What is the
Cole? Wait, Cole, you've had your clothes on when you're in the locker room, right? You aren't going to the locker room and taking showers with the guys, are you?
Steve, I'm not even going to answer that question. No, obviously.
Hey, it makes you wonder, you know, what happens when Risley shows up at IU for a game. But Cole,
I'm not allowed in the locker room.
Okay,
no problem.
Yeah,
so
I wonder
we exactly know why. All right, so Cole, when you look at this, what is the feeling on this team now? Just what's the difference when you go into the locker room? I know they're winning now, but this looks like a completely different team on the court just from the confidence angle. Is this team got a little swagger now, as you young kids say?
Yeah, I think it shows. I think when you watch the post-game press conferences and stuff, you know, when they were struggling, people would ask them, you know, what do you think the issue with the team is? And you know, they were kind of struggling to come up with stuff. You know, they were clearly down. Archie, I think you could tell, was frustrated. And now, you know, Archie said it best in the press conference. You know, this is probably the best stretch of basketball IU's played all season long. You know, I think they're confident. You know, I think they're playing tougher now. I think they, for the most part, you know, early on in the season when they were going through that stretch of 12 or 13 games, I think Indiana was just kind of waiting for something to go wrong, and that would kind of knock them off track here. But now, for the most part, you know, I just think they're confident. I mean, you said it in the question. I just think you can tell when they're at the press conference that, you know, they expect this to happen. You know, they're not hoping to win games, that they know they can play this way. And, you know, they don't act surprised when they play this way. It seems like something that they know they're capable of, and finally they're showing that in the court.
Yeah, and Collin, I think that confidence shows at the free throw line where this team has struggled over the last 2 years a lot of times. And today, 79.3 from the free throw line. If you're shooting 80% from the free throw line and you're only turning the ball over 6 times, you can play with anybody in the country.
Exactly, and I think that one of the big things that Jawan said, kind of going back to the confidence in his press conference, that I think it was Zach Bozich. He said that Jawan said something about, you know, we're kind of playing with a little desperation in words. Just, you never know when your last game's going to be, blah, blah, blah. And so he said that that's how guys are playing. And if you can get a whole team to rally around that and just like, look, we have nothing to lose. This could be our last time, so just go out there and leave it all on the court. I think that mindset that these guys have right now, especially hearing that vocalized by, you know, Jawan, who's, you know, the leader of the team, the expected leader of the team, hearing that come out of his mouth, I think is huge for this team moving forward, that, you know, they're going to try, you know, at least mindset-wise, to leave it all out on the floor. And that's what you need from a team right now, is especially with as skilled as we are, we become very, very dangerous when guys play to leave it all on the floor.
Yeah, and the thing that also impressed me, Kent, was the fact that Morgan and Fennessy both pick up 2 early fouls, and this team, the other guys stepped up, whether it was Justin Smith, Deron Davis. Devontae Green played great in that first half, and that is what this team has been missing. They've got guys stepping up when they need to now.
Green to me is the key. You can go to the bench and go get Devontae Green, and now for like 4, maybe 5 games in a row, you've gotten the guy who can do the good stuff and doesn't screw you out of 3 good possessions with bad decisions and turnovers. I think Devontae Green's been terrific and allows Archie Miller, some options. And to bring a guy like that off the bench who can score it a little bit and is now willing to move the basketball on time and on target, I think that's absolutely enormous.
All right, and I know, Steve, you've been a big fan of Devontae Green's over the last few games. You want to make a comment here?
No, I think Devontae Green is a key to this basketball team. But here's the bigger question, Mike, as a coach. What has Archie Miller done differently as a coach? Because I respect you as a coach. What has Archie Miller done differently to get this team from 1-13 to 4-0?
Well, I'll give the
in
credit
your opinion,
to Collin
as a coach.
I'll give the credit to Collin here. Colin.
Colin?
Yeah, Collin. Yeah, Collin Hartman. You don't remember Collin Hartman?
Colin Hartman.
Cole, we're a hybrid.
Yeah.
I'll give the credit to Collin now. And then Collin said all along it was just the players executing. The players are executing now. I think Fennessy has made a big difference in this team. And Fennessy is the kind of guy with Durham that even if they don't score points, they have an effect on the game.
Yeah. I mean, Race Thompson, perfect example. Cole, how many points did Race score today?
0.
Zero.
He did not score.
Donut.
But he had a crazy impact on the game. I went to the game too. So it was cool to see those guys, whatever. But to be able to, see Race, guys like Race, says stuff doesn't show up on the stat sheet, but they bring intensity and deflections and stuff like that doesn't show up on a stat sheet, that impacts the game. I did a whole bunch of stuff like that, diving on the floor, taking charges, stuff that doesn't show up in the stat sheet, but it changes morale and it gives guys breaks, and guys like Jawan and Duran, especially when they got in foul trouble, because the rest were bad. They just were. But being able to have guys like that step up and make impacts without having to score the ball, there's definitely a fit for that because it impacts the game. Because you're going to get your points from Duran, you're going to get points from Romeo or Rob or obviously Justin sometimes. It's just going to or Devontae or whoever it is, but you have to have those guys that do things like Zach McRoberts did last year and Race is doing this year and stuff like that. Is just making hustle plays and making basketball plays that don't necessarily show up in the stat sheet.
Okay, here's a question. Here's a question for you guys, for everybody. Anybody answer? Can anybody dive in? Rob Fennessy, is he just now getting back to healthy? I mean, did we bring him back too early with concussion protocol?
I don't know if we brought him back too early, but I'll tell you, he looks, over the course of the last 3 or 4 games, he looks a whole lot different than he did from the time that he came back on the court to, 5 games ago. He looks like a different guy, a more aggressive guy. I don't know whether it took him that long to get back to being sort of in sync with that team or whether it was a matter of health or what it was, but that's a different dude over the last 4 or 5 games.
Well, I think this.
Well, Rob.
And this is coming from a little experience, though, with the concussion thing.
Yeah.
Perfect example. My son plays a game in Atlanta, November 17th, gets a concussion. Says nothing to me, tells me he's fine. He plays in the Under Armour All-American game early January. A week after that, he tells me, I'm still having headaches and I'm still groggy. And we took him to the doctor. They diagnosed him with post-concussion syndrome. And that doctor told us it can last anywhere from 2 weeks to 2 years. And, he just recently cleared up probably about 3 weeks ago. So this may not be whether Indiana cleared him. Maybe he thought he was good to go, and he really wasn't. And, concussions are really dangerous things, and they're hard to really understand, I think, for a lot of people. So I would err on the side that he probably wasn't playing clear-headed for 10, 12 games there.
Yeah, and I think that –
I would agree.
I've had a concussion before, and the thing is, docs can't, they can't look at a leg and be like, oh, it looks good, or, see how much weight you can lift with that leg or whatever. It's a mindset thing.
Did you have a concussion the time I smacked you in the back of the head at the field house? The field house when you took 2 stupid 3-pointers and I smacked you in the back of the head?
No shot I ever took at the field house was ever a stupid shot, first of all.
Wait a second. And remember this, Collin, because Steve always brags that he always told you that there was no such thing as a stupid shot for you.
Exactly. It was a green light at all times.
Okay. That's what he said.
I've never taken a stupid shot.
You said that, Risley, so why are you smacking that young man in the back
I did.
of the head?
Yes, I did. All right. Call me out. Thanks, Mike.
Jeez.
I appreciate that. Way to trash me on the radio. I love it.
You're the one. You trashed yourself. I never said, you remember that time you slapped him in the back of the head? I was defending.
Anyways, I think that it does take a lot of time to get back, especially the concussions. You don't work back into things slowly, really. It's like you get back into it when docs clear you. You don't do it a day before. Maybe you get some shots up before, but they really shut everything down. And so, getting your wind back, getting, the movement, the speed, the changes pace, the conditioning, everything back, that's going to take time. And I think that, we got the Rob Fantasy back that we want.
And Archie's talked about that too. He mentioned in one of the press conferences, he thinks Wisconsin was really that game where they got the Rob Fantasy back, the full strength Rob Fantasy.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think that game, even though they didn't play well, but they won, it gave a huge lift for them confidence-wise. Now, we look forward, going ahead. Kent, I think the prevailing opinion is if they win one game in the Big Ten tournament, they're in the tournament. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, they're 17-14. Ken Palm's got them 42nd overall, right between Iowa and Mississippi, and 2 ahead of Ohio State. And I know Ken Palm's not perfect, and it's not the NET and all of that crap. But I think that if you look at the best, 34 at-large teams, 35 at-large teams,
give or take
you
one
can't tell me. Yeah, that Indiana is clearly one of the best 35 teams in the country right now. I don't think there's any question. If you go into Chicago, you win that first game against Ohio State, you're going to wind up playing the top seed Michigan State. That's going to be tough. I think if you win one and you comport yourself well against the Spartans, I think you go to the tournament, and that's a terrific accomplishment. And the people who bitch and moan and say, no, it's got to go to like one of these mid-majors, somebody like Belmont or Murray State should go to the tournament over the top of an Indiana. They're out of their damn minds. Who the hell wants to watch Belmont play basketball?
I do.
And if Indiana played Belmont 10 times, you'd see Indiana beat their ass 9.
Yeah. All right, Ken.
Ken Sterling. Ken Sterling, you are my new hero.
On the Belmont case,
now my new hero. He is now. He's got Buffalo, Nevada, all these Belmonts, all these idiot little teams that you all think have winning records, and they cannot play with Indiana. And I don't care if Indiana has 17-15. They can't play with Indiana. Great call, Ken. Thank you. You're my new hero. You and I will start a show tomorrow. You and I will do our own basketball show tomorrow. The hell with everybody else.
In Belmont's defense, they played Purdue a lot tougher than Indiana did.
No, wait a minute. Okay. Indiana, didn't they go to overtime?
Indiana, I'm talking about at Purdue.
Oh, the other one.
Yeah.
I forgot all about that.
Because Belmont was actually down by 2 points with like a minute left and then missed a shot, had to foul Purdue, and ended up losing by like 9.
And Kent, don't worry, because I played 4 years at IU. I got a ring. I never won a game at Mackey Arena. So it's a very difficult place to play. So it's not a slam on IU.
So you understand why Belmont lost that
at Mackey.
And actually, if you've watched Murray State and Ja Morant, there's not too many teams I'd rather watch play. That kid's good.
And he is good, but just on the topic of Belmont, though, too, just to bring that up, and I mean, this is a team IU is going to be compared with when you're looking at tournament resumes. Does Belmont have an impressive win? I mean, honestly, I think I've looked at the net rating. They may not have a net win over the team 50th. I mean, I think it's like 54th is their best net win.
Oh, I think Belmont would be left out before Indiana.
Cole, do you follow Alex Bozic on Twitter?
I do, yeah.
What was that? He just tweeted something. What was that schedule that he just tweeted? Whose was that?
Are you talking about about yesterday, that schedule, or did he just tweet another one? Because I saw one yesterday. Yeah, there was one yesterday. He tweeted, yeah. I can look it up. He tweeted Belmont the other day, and that's where I got that from. Yeah.
Their strength of
Belmont
schedule, according to Ken Palm, is ranked 33rd. And wins, their best win, Murray State at 51, and then Lipscomb at 52. So they do have a very, very impressive win over Trevecca Nazarene. They beat them 105 to 50. I don't know who those people are or where they're located. Trevecca, I'm guessing.
All right. Do you know that last year Loyola Chicago was ranked 187th strength of schedule and went to the Final Four? So if you don't play those teams, it's hard to get a chance. And Indiana's not going to do a home-and-home with Belmont. And Indiana is better than Belmont. I don't know that Indiana's better than Murray State, though. Murray State's pretty decent.
Murray State is good, and John Morant's terrific, and he's fun to watch. And Belmont can shoot threes, and that's a good thing. I just think that Indiana right now, it might be hyperbole to say that they're playing better than anybody in the Big Ten, but I think they're playing better than anybody in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah. Well, because Purdue lost recently. So, and my question is,
you want to know what's crazy?
Is the Big Ten just overrated, anyways?
Oh, golly, I don't think so. You know, the thing that I like yesterday, we got to bounce around, watch a lot of games. I think the defense in the Big Ten is the toughest in the country, and I don't think it's close. The way the ACC teams defend, the way the Pac-12 teams defend, the Big Ten's just withering. That's big boy basketball being played in the Big Ten. I don't know how a lot of those teams, other than like the uber-talented teams like Duke and North Carolina, I don't know how those teams would fare in the Big Ten playing those teams every damn night 20 times a year.
But the other question is this. Are there any really good offensive teams in the Big Ten? I mean, does that kind of go hand in hand that the defense is great because the offense is bad? Because when I look at this, I think there's 3 teams that would have a chance to be Sweet 16 teams in the Big Ten. But I don't think there's more than that. And actually, one of those 3 right now to me might be Indiana because I think that they're better than, people give them credit for.
I'll tell you what, I think Purdue is really good offensively. I think that Michigan's good offensively. I think Iowa is really good offensively. Toward the back end of the conference, they're not good offensively. Northwestern looked like they couldn't have scored against anybody last night. But offensively, I think that there's some good basketball being played by some teams in the Big Ten. I get your point, and it's definitely better on the defensive end. I just don't think there's the depth
that we thought it was going to be at the start of the year, though, because when I looked at this conference, it looked like they could be a 10-team league or 10 teams into the NCAA tournament. When I look at it now, I think the loser in the Ohio State and Indiana game could be out.
Oh, I think they will be out.
And I think Minnesota needs to win a game or 2 now, or they could be out because Minnesota doesn't have the greatest strength of schedule either, except for in conference, and they've only got 1 or 2 big wins there.
Yeah, and you look at Ohio State, they've lost, 5 of their last 7. The only wins that they've got during that stretch are against Northwestern and Iowa. And that team's unraveled a little bit. The suspension of the Wesson kid, that's not a help at all. Although I do think that Holtman's done a nice job with what he's got. He lost a lot last year. But I think Ohio State's in arrears. And I think that game against Indiana is going to be telling. And I would be stunned if Indiana didn't win that game and win it in the kind of the same way they beat Illinois and Rutgers today. I think that Indiana's just playing much better basketball right now.
Yeah, the Wisconsin's beating Ohio State by 9 with like 2 minutes left in the game at Columbus. Go ahead, Steve.
No, Collin, would you agree that you played there? The Chicago really is an Indiana town, correct? Would that be a fair assessment? I mean, I know every time I played there, it's in Indiana. It's really, it's the biggest alumni.
Alumni base other than Indiana.
Yeah, so it's really that really Chicago becomes a home game for IU against Ohio State, correct?
It's fun. It's fun to play there. It really is, just because it is such an IU town, IU city.
It's a huge IU town. I think IU does fine. I think Archie's got these guys going great. He's got his team healthy. I think they're fine. So, Kent, what is IU in the tournament right now, or do they have to do something more to get in the tournament still?
I think they got to win a game. And if they lose to Ohio State and Chicago, they probably don't deserve to be in the tournament. But a win against Ohio State and a loss against Michigan State, I think they're in.
Okay. Mike?
I've been saying that for 2 weeks. Got to win one game in the tournament because the one thing you've seen also is teams that looked like they were going to go ahead and run away with their conferences and get the automatic bid didn't. And there's going to be a few more of those Belmont teams sitting there at 25-5, and you got some teams getting in nobody expected to get in, which is going to tighten it up also. If you get enough upsets here, you may have to beat Michigan State in the end. But I think overall, I'd say 90% sure one win gets them in.
So, Cole, does Indiana control their own destiny?
Well, I mean, from a certain standpoint, yeah. Like if they win 2 games, there's 0% chance they would, miss out on the tournament. If they beat Michigan State in that second game,
yeah.
I mean, they're not going to get left out. So yeah, obviously if they win the Big Ten tournament, they would get an automatic bid anyway. So from that standpoint, they control their own destiny. But yeah, I mean, I agree with Mike and Ken. I think if they can get 18 wins, beat Ohio State, I just think they have too many quality wins to leave them off.
Yeah, and
I think
the big question to me, Cole, is this. If they can win the Big Ten tournament, which I think they're fully capable of, especially if they win that second game against Michigan State, where do they get seeded?
I mean, that's a good question. I could see them because they'd have to win 4 games, so they'd be sitting at 21-14. I could see them getting the 5 seed.
Yeah,
I really could. I mean,
Minnesota last year got a 5 seed, I think, didn't they? And Minnesota didn't have near the resume IU would have then.
Exactly, yeah. I could absolutely see a 5 seed. IU has a lot of losses. That's really the only thing holding them back right now. But, yeah, I mean, if they win the tournament, they're probably looking at a 5 seed. Maybe, I don't want to say they would, but maybe a 4 seed. I could see them getting that high of a seed.
All right,
here's your boy Joe Lenardi. Your boy Joe Lenardi. He's got Indiana still as first 4 out. Who I think Joe Lenardi's an idiot. But
yeah, but they are right now unless they win a game, Steve.
I don't know. And that's the question I had for you, Mike. Is it the way Indiana's playing right now? Are they the last 4 out? Or are you taking the entire season body of work?
You have to take the entire season at some point because if you're wait a second. Because if you're not going to take the entire season and you're just going to take the last few games, then you can't throw at me, we beat Marquette and we beat Louisville. Because you can't leave out the middle and just pick and choose what you want. And I think 17-15 would be a huge stretch to put them in because it's not like it would be a 17-15 losing to an Ohio State that's trending up. It would be 17-15 losing to an Ohio State team that's trending down.
Okay.
Agreed.
Anybody else comment?
No, I totally agree with that.
I think we have at least one game to be remotely comfortable.
Steve.
I think Indiana's in right now.
Yeah.
But
so you think they're in even if they lose?
No, they've got to win one game. I agree with that. Okay, I'm going to give you that one.
Well, then they're not in right now.
Hey, by the way, guys.
I look at the last 4 in: North Carolina State, Alabama, Temple, and Clemson, according to Lenardi. I think Indiana's outperforming all 4 of those teams right now.
Hey, by the way, guys, just to throw this out there, Ohio State just tied the game with Wisconsin.
Oh, damn it.
What channel is it on? ESPN?
CBS.
What am I doing? Oh.
All right, well, this changes things. Does that make it tougher for them to win?
Well, yeah, it makes it a lot tougher for Indiana, doesn't it?
I don't
Kent, does it make it tougher for Indiana if Ohio State wins?
I think it's actually good for Indiana because they're going to be playing against a team that's got a better win. Over if they lose again, that's 6 of 8 they would have lost, and a win against Ohio State would be less impressive. If Ohio State wins this game at Wisconsin or against Wisconsin and Columbus, then all of a sudden this is a little bit better win for Indiana if they beat them on Thursday.
Yeah, and then it definitely gets them in. Agreed, Colin?
I think we cheer for Ohio State. I think we cheer for Ohio State right now.
I would, but I bet $10 on Wisconsin and gave 3 points, so I'm sticking with Wisconsin right now. I need that money. I mean, I make like $9 if I win. So.
Well, I believe if Ohio State wins, IU would play Minnesota, right? I believe that's how that would work out.
You know what? I don't want to play Minnesota. I want to play Ohio State.
I'd rather play Ohio State than Minnesota also. See, so everybody cheer for Wisconsin to win by 4.
Yeah, that's true. The Murphy kid's a beast. The Murphy kid's terrific.
Yeah.
Huh. I just assume. Okay. That's it.
29 seconds to go in the game here.
There's Bo Borowski. How many games does Bo Borowski referee during the average weekend? He's like on 6 Big Ten games every weekend. I've never seen a Big Ten game this entire season without Bo Borowski. It's unbelievable.
I also haven't seen a well-officiated Big Ten game for like 30 years. Steve, you were around. Was the officiating this bad in the late 70s and early 80s?
We had Ted Ballantyne or Ballantyne, whatever his name was.
TV Teddy.
You know.
Well, TV Teddy was around when I was playing.
Yeah, is he still around now, or did he finally just retire?
He left last year. He left the Big Ten.
Did he leave last year? Yeah. I mean, you know. But I had Knight, so Knight just would bait the officials and make the officials do stupid things. So he was smarter than the officials. I give him credit for that.
And Ed Hightower was a nice guy, right? So
Hightower,
Knight says something, Hightower makes the next 4 calls for Indiana.
Actually, Ed Hightower was a very nice guy. I mean, he literally came up and shook your hand every time and talked to you. And, you know, when you went out, when one of the 37 times I got to start a basketball game at IU, he would always come out and talk to you and, you know, give you some feedback and things like that and tell you how he's going to officiate the game. And he'd tell you, I'm going to let you guys play today. He would tell you, you know, we're going to call it tight today. And he would tell you. And I appreciated that. It's just like, okay, so I can smack Magic Johnson in the face twice or 3 times before I'm in trouble.
Magic Johnson would have whipped your ass if you'd have smacked him in the face.
He whipped my ass every time. I don't know if I ever beat Magic Johnson. I don't think I ever beat him in 2 years. So he whipped my ass every time, so no big deal. I get that.
All right, Steve, got anything else?
Yeah, can we ask? We got Ken on. Can we talk about? And I'm in Los Angeles. Rumors floating, Ken. Matt Painter to UCLA. That's what's flying out here right now.
That would stun me. I think that if he was going to leave, he would have done it 6 years ago when he had a chance to go to Missouri. I think you'd have to roll up a bit. First of all, does he seem to you? You'd know better than me. You live out there. Is he an L.A. type guy? He's a West Lafayette type guy, not an L.A. type guy.
No.
Go ahead, Collin.
He's not an L.A. kind of guy. Just not. And there's not a knock on him. It just is what it is. You're either built for it or you're not. L.A. is a whole nother monster.
Yeah. It's actually a knock on L.A., isn't it, Collin?
Anybody who lives there.
No. And trust me, Steve and I were friends. I mean, Steve and I, you know, we played some golf together when he was out here. I went to a lot of UCLA practices. It's a difficult situation out here to be coach. First off, the people in Los Angeles don't really give a damn about what goes on unless you're losing. Then they give a damn. And then they just want to shit can you. So I would hope that he would not leave Purdue. He's in a great situation. He's in a great program. He competes yearly, and his teams are always in consideration. And I would hope to God he wouldn't come out here. Mike, what's your thoughts?
Oh, I don't know why he'd want to do that, because at Purdue, if he wins a Big Ten championship, he's safe for 2 or 3 years. So he's safe for 3 years. And it's Purdue. Right. I mean, it's not like they're expecting a national championship.
Right.
They want to win the Big Ten, maybe win a couple games in the Big Ten or in the NCAA tournament, and they're happy. If he goes to UCLA, he can win the Pac-12 every year. If he don't win a national championship or get to a Final Four, after about 2 years, the heat's going to be turned up on him, whether it's right or wrong. And how about this? This is my question: is Matt Painter the coach of the year?
Oh yeah, to me,
not Big Ten, but I mean overall through the country.
You got the beard guy at Texas Tech, and you got Matt at Purdue, and I think that you could pick either of them, and you got a great guy. What Matt did, losing those 4 seniors, losing Edwards, Haas, Matthias, and Thompson, and then coming back with this thing, they lose 5 of 7 from mid-November to mid-December, and they kind of get that thing retooled and figure it out and win a share of the Big Ten title. That may be one of the damnedest things I've ever seen in college basketball.
Yeah, because we were all talking at the start of this year, Steve, Collin. We thought they were going to have a year similar to what Indiana had last year.
Right.
Well, I mean, looking back on it, their strength of schedule at the beginning of the season was kind of crazy if you think about it and look at it. But, I mean, yeah. Hey, props to Coach Painter turned that around. I mean, they're not the most talented team in the country, or even close to being the most talented team in the Big Ten. But they play well together. They know their roles. Hats off to Coach Painter to get those guys playing the way that they are.
Yeah. It hurt today.
All right, so Mike,
I was filling out my All-American ballot for United States Basketball Writers Association, and it comes to Coach of the Year, and I had to write Matt Painter and put Purdue next to it. I felt dirty.
I did the exact same thing and felt the exact same way.
Did you feel dirty too? All right.
Yeah, I was like, hey, this isn't right. Good heavens. But
go ahead, Steve. Sorry about that.
No, Matt Painter's a good guy, and I wish him great success. And despite what everybody thinks, the rivalry between IU and Purdue is not what the fans think it is. The players respect each other, and we play hard, and we understand it's a big game. But we want to win, but we also want to respect each other. 2 questions. 2 other things I've heard. Can we address with Kent on today, LSU?
Yeah.
A coaching situation down there. Can we address that real quick from everybody? Does everybody have an opinion on that, or anybody want to have an opinion on it?
Well,
I've been on Twitter. I've been on Twitter with Dickie Vitale. Dickie Vitale and I've been going back and forth on Twitter over this because he's kind of ripping on the whole situation.
What's he ripping on? What's he saying?
Well, he's saying that it's cheating.
It is cheating.
I don't even know what happened.
Yeah, probably. I mean, he's done. I mean, I don't see a scenario where he coaches at LSU again.
No,
okay, so here's my question.
He's not only a cheat, he's a stupid cheat. And if you're a stupid cheat, you can't be employed in college basketball. College basketball and the NCAA and the members of the NCAA, they don't want to penalize cheaters. They just don't want to have their faces rubbed in it when it happens. And that's what's happened with Wade.
My point exactly. Right. Yeah.
He's a bad crook. You can't employ a bad crook. And here's something. He used his own money. He was dipping into his own cash. This wasn't booster cash. It wasn't shoe money. It was his money. How about that for dumbass?
Use the boosters' money at least.
Right. How do you cheat without having 2 levels of insulation between you and the nefarious act? How can you be that dumb? How can you be a coach of guys where you need to deploy assets in a way where you can win a basketball game, but you don't have the brains to understand that you're going to have 2 rows of insulation between you and the criminal act? It's ridiculous.
He was young.
It
was the first time that he committed a criminal act, Ken. He didn't know any better. My biggest question is this.
Brought it up.
So Dick Vitale, though, will support Rick Pitino no matter what happens in pushing for the UCLA job.
Yeah, I find Dick Vitale to be a kind of a harmless bloviate. Leave it at that. I mean, he rattles chains.
He needs to go away.
He needs to go away. He stumps for his charity and blah, blah, blah. He hasn't said anything relevant to the game of college basketball since like 1991.
Exactly.
But isn't Pitino great for UCLA? Wouldn't he be the perfect fit at UCLA?
Oof. You know what? He's a hell of a basketball coach, but somebody wants to do business with him, I'd lose respect for him immediately, right? Yeah. I mean, they were running the dorm as a whorehouse, for God's sake. He's bending over, servers at a restaurant in Louisville. I mean, the guy, other than win basketball games, what did the guy do for that university that didn't cast it into some level of ill repute?
Well, and he's done that pretty much every place he's been.
Right. Yeah.
Except for the New York Knicks when he had to coach grown men and they chased his ass out of there. That's always the killer. I mean, it's just like Nick Saban. Nick Saban's just a college coach. He could recruit some guys, but you put him in a group of grown men and they smell his bullshit immediately.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. All right, here's the next question for you guys. Again, I'm in Los Angeles, so I'm 2,000 miles away. I heard yesterday Alford at Butler. What's your thoughts?
Ken?
Wow, everybody's got silent real quick.
I don't understand why it's a good fit, and Alford better than I do. Why? Like, what is, other than geography, other than his heritage as a guy who's from Indiana, I don't understand why Butler would consider him to be a guy that they would look at and say, yep, that's one of us.
Anybody else? Because I agree with Ken. I don't think it's a good fit.
Colin, what do you think?
Mike,
I don't think it happens in a million years. I mean, that's not the kind of program.
Oh, I think it could happen.
I think that program.
I think it's going to happen.
Well, but I'm saying
it's going to happen.
Because at the end of the day, that's not the kind of coach that's built that kind of program. It's a low-key kind of guy, not a guy that would go to. I don't know. It's just, I guess it might be a stigma that I have of just Butler. Just the program in general. They always get the low-key coaches that. I don't know.
Mike, what do you think? I think it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen.
I think Steve Alford should have stayed at New Mexico.
Yeah, exactly.
And the thing is, Butler is a much bigger program, but the problem with Butler is you're not going to get the balls and guys like that, so you got to be able to coach them. And I love Steve Alford. He was my favorite Indiana basketball player named Steve when I was younger. And I even, back then I had hair, and I used to comb my hair.
So you
like
Steve Green,
Alford.
Right? You like Steve Green now, right? Steve Green's your favorite player now?
No, Steve Alford was still my favorite player named Steve back then. You're just, I forgot about Steve Green, so you're in the top 3, though. But
there you go.
When I look at this.
Steve Isle?
Oh, yeah, you're down to 4th. All right. Quit digging yourself deeper, Steve. But the thing that stood out to me is when I went and watched the first 4 in Dayton last year, and I sit like in the first or second row, and I watch him not coach his team in a close loss to St. Bonaventure, who was a better team. He spent almost every minute in a timeout screaming at an official or complaining or whining. And I just didn't see a guy this is not a guy that's going to go to Butler and be successful, because you've got to be able to coach these kids and teach them how to play like a team. I mean, if you go to UCLA and you can't win with the recruits he got, what makes you think you can go to Butler and win with even less talent?
So here's my question, Mike. I went to a bunch of Alford's practices. We live 30 minutes from Westwood. And I got to see, and I went to a bunch of games. How do I do this? How do I say this? What's more important to Butler? Is it being a great coach or bringing name recognition to the program? Because Alford brings the name.
Coach. They don't care about the name recognition. Yeah. They hired Chris Holtman, and nobody knew who the hell he was.
Well,
they hired
see.
Brad.
Right. But what happens?
Nobody knew him.
What happens, Ken, if they hire Steve Alford then? Does that tell us they're going a different way and they're going to try to make a big splash there?
Yeah.
I think it tells us that Barry Collier has lost his mind and has stopped doing things in a Barry Collier way. I mean, he's the athletic director, and Barry Collier Barry Collier is a very confident guy in his leadership. He knows what Butler is. He went to Butler as a coach and developed the Butler way. That's how he got the job. And I just don't see Steve Alford being a Butler way kind of guy at all. There's no tether to the university. And they like that kind of thing. He hired Brandon Miller. He hired a guy who came as a volunteer assistant. When Brandon went home, they put Chris Holtman in as an interim guy because he was there. They hired Lavelle, who played for Barry and played for Thad and played for Todd. I see, like, they like their culture, and they're not going to upset that apple cart. I don't see it as something that's going to happen. I think that Barry doing that very rarely surprises people in what he does and the decisions that he made. This would be a huge surprise.
All right, Cole?
I'm going to go in the absolute all right.
We forgot about Cole. It's been a while for Cole. Go ahead,
we
Cole.
forgot about Cole, I know.
Yeah, I think it would be absolutely stupid. I think that's pretty much. I just think if Alford didn't have the Indiana connection, would he be a candidate? And the answer is no to me. So why would you hire him? I mean, that's just my thoughts on it. But
Steve?
And I'm going to go the absolute opposite direction. I think they'd be the perfect fit. I think Alford at Butler would be he's a hometown boy. He's a Hoosier hero, a Hoosier legend. Butler is Hinkle Fieldhouse, and I've played games in Hinkle Fieldhouse. I think it's a perfect fit. I just think, like we said, Steve's not a great coach. So I think the team will suffer, but will they prosper? And that's what I'm asking. That's the question I'm asking. They'll suffer, but will they prosper? I think with Alford there as a coach, they'll prosper like hell.
But they'll suffer.
Money will come into that program, that university, like no tomorrow. Well, they're sucking right now. I mean, so.
They don't suck
but you bring
right
Steve
now.
Alford in. Yeah,
they're
not doing well.
Now.
They're not dancing, are they?
Well, neither's
Well,
Indiana
they're in the next four out.
Yeah,
they're in the next four out.
Next four out, yeah. According to Joe Lenardi, they're
right.
Yeah, they're next four out.
Butler has pretty much the same record as Indiana.
Yeah, I mean, was UCLA going to dance with Steve Alford? Like, I don't see how you can hold that against Butler and be like, we need Alford, when I think probably a more talented UCLA team is pretty much crashing and burning worse than Butler is.
And Butler's got a chance to be good next year. They could be really good with Kamar Baldwin back. They lose two guys. They lose Jorgensen and Fowler. And I think that they got a really good chance, and they feel good about their team too. I think they're an upper echelon Big East team next year with no changes.
Yeah, no doubt.
I asked the question. I just asked the question. I think Alford is a great fit at Butler. If I was going to think of where I was ever going to put Steve Alford again, if he was going to coach again, and then this thing came up out here in California about him going to Butler, thinking, God, that's a damn good fit. It's all about Indiana basketball. So
yeah, but are they going to prosper 2 years from now with him as the head coach?
Right, exactly.
They're not going to prosper.
That's the question I asked. Exactly.
They're not going to prosper
right.
2 or 3 years down the road. They might prosper immediately, money-wise.
Right.
But in the end, they're not.
He's not a good coach.
Let's face it. Butler became a much bigger university. They got into the Big East. They've been in 2 national championship games. Butler's the best program in the state of Indiana over the last 15 years.
No doubt.
So.
Yeah, totally agree.
Why you want to screw that up?
There's no argument there. Yeah, Mike, state the obvious, Mike.
Well, I'll tell you what, though. Out of all the Steves that I knew that play for Indiana, I would rather have you coach Butler than Steve Alford.
No way. Wisconsin's up 71-67 with 17 seconds to go.
Well, we need to win by 4. So remember, we need to win by 4, Steve.
We need Ohio State to win.
All right, guys. So Indiana plays on what? Thursday night?
Yeah.
Thursday, yeah.
Thursday.
All right. Let's do this.
Are they playing Ohio State? Does this game matter who they play?
If this result holds, they play Ohio State.
Yeah.
They play Ohio State. If Ohio State wins the game, who do they play?
Minnesota.
Minnesota? And we'd rather we play Ohio State.
Yeah. Collin, you agree?
Every day of the week.
Okay. So, all right.
I agree just because, like Kent said,
Collin's got to go do his YouTube channel thing.
Hey, I find it funny and mildly entertaining. So make sure you check out.
I subscribe to it. I get notices when he and Allie are on.
I do too.
I get text messages.
I do too, because I love stuff like that. I'm not going to say what stuff that's like, but it was a very interesting show to watch. So if you could go check out Collin Allen. Kent, you want to tell everybody where they can find you on the internet?
Oh, tomorrow morning at 8, there it is, Breakfast with Kent on Facebook Live and Periscope and right here on The Grueling Truths. And then afternoons at 3, Nothing But Sports. We'll do that and keep rolling with that. And you know what? There's a lot of fun. I'm having a good time. You don't need a radio show to talk sports, and so that's a good thing. You can talk more freely this way too, Kent. You can talk more freely this way. And this is the thing. And we were going to do a Periscope account, and Steve said, no, I'm afraid of the water because the Jaws scared the hell out of me.
And Kent, do you realize that your 8 o'clock is my 5 o'clock in the morning, so I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning watching you in your backyard with your damn fish in your pond, and your no leaves on the trees. I'm up there every morning at 5 o'clock watching you. All right?
Well, you know what? You have got to do something about your priorities in life. I frankly don't understand. If I was in California, I wouldn't even do it. I wouldn't. Not only wouldn't I watch me, I would regret being me.
Yeah, I'd hang out at the beach.
I'm learning how to surf. I'm learning how to surf.
You told me you won't get in the ocean because Jaws scared you so bad that you're afraid to get in the ocean. So he doesn't even.
No, they've got a place roped off that has nets that says it's shark proof. So I don't worry about that.
Shark-proof
go there.
Nets.
Shark proof.
Are you sure it's just netting? Because I don't think that sounds very shark proof. All right. Cole, you want to tell everybody where they can find you? And don't say your mom's house. Go.
His mom's
you
house.
Guys can, well, that one's also accurate, but you can follow me on Twitter, at Cole Hanna 5. Then I'll have a post-game right up after the Rutgers game up on The Grueling Truth here soon.
All right. Collin, any last words?
Oh, man, just live life, baby. Be happy.
All right. Steve,
peace and love.
Any final words?
Oh, wait. I go back to the NASCAR race. Hang on here. Hang on. Oh, Kyle Busch is winning. God dadgummit. Elliott's in 14th place. All right. No big deal. Kyle Busch is going to win the damn race. You get 3 laps to go.
All right. Hey, we got good news. So, I am now $20 richer. Wisconsin 73, Ohio State 67.
There you go.
It's a good day.
You buy lunch today.
Goodpaster
buys lunch today.
I'll tell you, if I hit one more tonight, I'm going to drive up to Kent's house, and we're going to do Breakfast with Mike and Kent on Facebook from a Waffle House in Indianapolis.
I love it.
But then, all right. Remember this. We're going to wrap this up. This was a lot of fun, guys. Kent, want to thank you for coming on. You're welcome anytime. Remember, tomorrow, Survive in Advance, Brian Ralph will be on to talk conference tournament previews. Tonight at 9 o'clock, we'll have the Inside Boxing Weekly Show, Jeremiah Pricer, John Einreinhofer. And then Tuesday, as of right now, it looks like we'll have Daniel Brown tied in for Chicago Bears to talk about his upcoming free agency. And Steve, do you remember what else I had planned on Wednesday and Thursday?
Oh, I got it written down here somewhere.
I texted it to you so I wouldn't forget. We got other guests.
I know.
So.
I know.
Just trust us. It'll be good.
I've got about 50 sticky notepads here that I got to look at. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, it'll be good.
I'll put it back
trust
up.
Us.
It'll be good.
All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap the show up. Remember to go to.
Hey, wait, are we going to do an IU show Wednesday night?
Yes, I was planning. We'll do a conference tournament preview if you want. We'll know who's playing who for sure then, and we'll break it all down.
Can you be on?
Kent, you want to be on Wednesday night?
Oh, yeah, let's go. I just sit here. If I'm not talking to you guys, I'm talking to myself. So it's not that hard to pick up a phone and share my thoughts instead of doing it with my wife or alone in the house. I love it.
There you go.
Let's go.
He talks to himself when he's even talking to us.
Yeah. A lot of times.
Why does everybody pick on me? Why am I?
Because nobody else starts the show off by sounding like a dog bit them and they go, oh, shit. That's the reason why we pick on you. Good enough? All right.
Kyle Busch wins the Phoenix race.
Yeah, and if you want to hear all about Kyle Busch winning the Phoenix race, you can hear the NASCAR show with Steve Risley, Bobby Sheridan, and the host of the show, Alex Gray. Make sure you check them out. Will that be tonight, Steve, or will that be tomorrow?
Yeah, I think it's 6:30 my time, so 9:30 Eastern time. I don't know. Everybody went through time changes.
It'll be up on the internet around 11 o'clock or so. Just check it out. Whatever you find, if you go to thegrizzlytruth.net today, you can find my interview with George Foreman. You can find a bunch of different articles. You can find Cole's write-up here, post-game show after the game, which should be up here within a few hours. Remember, you can hear all of our shows on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube, iTunes, wherever you find sports podcasts, you'll find The Grueling Truth. So for Kent Sterling, Collin Hartman, Cole Hanna, Steve Risley, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.
The legends speak.